Ahora,
Now, I'm going to start 3 lines from the bottom of the top section. Israel, all of the machshava. Pirush, all of machshava, hainu, all of machshava means that they are at the higher madrigi in machshava. What is the higher madrigi in machshava? The who, and that means that denotes the fact that machshava hagduma diak, this machshava hagduma, the original machshava of Odom Kadmon. Now let's again identify the machshava. Machshava, this is the thought that identifies the creation of the world, of all that comes into the world. All that comes into the world is contained and identified in this machshava. In this machshava itself, there is pnimis and chitzenius. We discussed at great length yesterday, the day before, the principle of pnimis and chitzenius. Chitzenius is how this presents itself, but this presentation is only an allusion to what is really going on inside, as we discussed here with the Mashorim over here, and so forth. And I want to just quickly reiterate. A human being presents a phenomenal structure. But it's only an allusion to what he stands for. The real thing is what's going on inside, in his mind and in his thought. But nonetheless, bechitzonius, there is something that represents the principle of what he is internally. This is the principle of chitzonius and pnimis. In machshava hagduma diak, in the original thought of Ak identifies. The original thought of Ak means, what am I going to create? And why am I creating it? And in this machshava there is the entire creation, the entire world. This entire world, in the machshava, is only identified as a world. It does not allude to the principle, why am I creating it? What arouses the whole principle that I want to create? That's in the chitzonius of the machshava. What identifies what is being created. The pnimius, in the pnimius means that which is taking place within the machshava itself, prior to the creation, prior to the decision to create. What is the meaning of this whole creation? This is machshava hagduma. Israel, all of machshava are pnimius. The pnimius means that which is pnimius. Chitzonius means how pnimius is how it expresses itself. Pnimius is what is taking place internally to itself. Why am I thinking about it? This is pnimius. Israel, all machshava hagduma diak b'bechimta pnimius. Why does a machshava itself think about the world? It is due to the fact that there is a soul in there. The machshava, the Yisrael, this is what arouses the whole machshava to create. This is the pnimius of the machshava hagduma. V'nimshecha ha'ora mishom l'kol echad v'echad miYisrael. A ha'ora from that machshava hagduma is brought down l'kol echad v'echad to every individual. Every individual need represents and contains the pnimius of this machshava. Every individual need represents the union of the of the divine intent in the creation. He is not a byproduct of the creation. He is the intent of the creation. And that is true in every individual need. Except that it takes avoider and sensitivity to be sensitive to it. But in essence, that is nimshach, is given to every yid. Deep down internally, he senses that he represents the initial intent of the whole creation. And as a result of this ha'ara, a yid has the inherent stance, inherent capacity for total dedication to Avodas Hashem without limit, to the point where he is chutzpah, to the point where he is at all times dedicated to Avodas Hashem to the extent of Mesiras Nefesh, because he is permeated with the ha'ara of this machshava akduma, of the pnimis of the machshava. Since that he is permeated with the pnimis of the machshava, for him to contemplate, to consider, to recognize an alternative to being connected to this machshava is impossible. He is part and parcel of this machshava. This is what we're saying here. That a ha'ora of the pnimis of machshava is nimshach l'chol echad yechad miYisrael. To every individual yid, this is what every yid, regardless of his madrege and avodah, regardless of his level of intelligence and level of avodah, he is prepared. He has inherently the capacity of Mesiras Nefesh, to the extent that he can't even consider an alternative. Because this is the fundamental reality. This is present by every yid. Now, in the middle of the second line from the bottom. Hanal means what we mentioned before. This whole discussion started with the pasuk, with a quote from the Kohen means all creatures, the entire creation. Bows down before you, which means that the entire creation has an element of beetle and recognition of the divine presence and the beetle to the divine presence. What is the difference between the beetle of Yisrael, all of Machshava, and the beetle of of the entire creation? So this is what Rebbe is concluding now. After having discussed at great length, relatively speaking, that in the pnimius of the machshava akduma, this is where Yisrael are, and this is why Yisrael are not capable of severing this relationship, because they are one part and one with it. And then there is also the beetle that is also effectuated in the entire creation, and this is called the beetle of al-koima from the Chodishtam. All koima means a structure. All presence, chitzenizik presence, bows to you. Yesh leima. There, that kol koima from the Chodishtam can be explained. Shezehu b'bchinas chitzenius ha'ak. That this is in the chitzenius aspect of Ak. Yisrael is from pnimius. We discussed the other day the difference between continuous and panemius. I just want to reiterate because of the phenomenal significance of it and depth of it. Panemius means how it is considered and recognized internally to the machshava itself. Not how I express it externally, but why does it make sense to me to create? Not what I'm showing in the creation. Why do I want to create? This is panemius. Chitzonius is I'm creating something and I'm showing that this is a worthy creation. And it's a worthy creation to the extent that the creation gives cognizance to its creator. This is the entire creation is bound to it. So it gives cognizance to its creator, but it is still an entity unto itself. So this beetle, is a chitzonic beetle. It's only an allusion to what's going on inside. Sheyesh, and the last line, Sheyesh beetle zeh b'chol hanibroi. This beetle of Chokimah is present in all the creatures. All creatures recognize, in simple terms, that they are merely creatures. They are not entities self-made or having any other basis for being, but for the fact that they are creation, that they were created. And thus, they principally give cognizance to their creator, because you have no other presence but for the fact that they are created. However, this is in chitzonius, and this beetle is present in all the Nivra. What is the difference between whether the beetle is a pnimi or chitzoni? I'd like to address this question.
Sorry, what? The question of chitzoni.
What is the difference between the beetle is pnimi or chitzoni? We said beetle chitzoni is due to the fact that everything is created from the cause. Therefore, the beetle chitzoni is representing and expressing the fact, yes, in order for me to live, I have to be submissive to the source of my life. So I recognize the truth. The source of my life is from the cause. And therefore, I'm submitting to it. But what is the intent of that mission? What am I looking for? I'm looking to get chayes from the cause. The beetle is only recognition that my chayes comes from the cause, not that I'm looking for the cause per se. This is called beetle chitzoni. So I'm submitting, I recognize the truth. But not I'm recognizing the truth for the sake of the truth itself, in order to be connected to the truth. I recognize the truth because this is how I'm sustained. This is the way it is in the entire world. Chitzoni. Chitzoni is that I'm trying to maintain the existing presence. In order to maintain the existing presence, I have to recognize and be connected to that which creates it. Pnimi is a completely different relationship, completely different attitude. Pnimi the touch. I want to be one with the Creator. I don't want to be a mitzvah unto myself. And I'm looking, my connection to the Creator is not so that I be a mitzvah, so that I have it for myself, but so that I will connect to the truth, to the Creator Himself. Because that is where the real chayes is. This is Pnimi. Israel, their beetle is a Pnimi Zikir. They want to do Avodas Hashem because they want to fulfill the will of Hashem.
Rabbi PALTIEL?
1 minute. Chitzoni, this is in the whole world. Chol HaNivroim. They all recognize that they're divine creations. They come from God. But what is the significance of that recognition? Why am I interested in where I come from? Their interest in what they come from is in order to enhance their own being, in order to make sure that I continue to be. Whereas by AYIN, by Israel, the reason he wants to know where I'm coming from is because I want to dedicate myself to the purposes of the Creator. It's a completely different, totally different stance. And this is the difference between Pnimis and Chitzonis. Yes, Baruch.
So, I would like you to understand better the difference, shifting focus from the bittul to the
I can't
machshava.
hear you. Can you raise your voice a little bit?
Talk into your phone.
I'm
difference-
talking right into my phone,
Yeah.
right against my phone.
The difference between the
Okay,
bittul.
Shraddha,
I can't hear what you're saying.
I'll say. I'll repeat.
No, that's not going to work.
Okay.
I'm asking about the machshava itself. Going back to the difference between the pnimius machshava, the art,
Oh,
and
good,
the
good.
chitzonius machshava. What is we're saying the pnimius of the machshava is the intention behind it. What's the chitzonius of the machshava of ak, or of any machshava? What is the chitzonius? If we have some sort of thought, there's a kavanah behind it, and there's the chitzonius of the machshava. What's an example of the chitzonius of machshava? I don't quite get that point.
All right.
Point.
All right. Do you know how to eat, Baruch?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
Baruch
appreciate
Hashem,
that.
Baruch Hashem. And when you eat, you use spoons and forks, and use a cup for water, and so forth.
Generally speaking,
Okay. The reason you use a cup to drink is that there's no other way for you to present the water to your mouth but through a controlled manner, like a cup. Like we said the other day, you can't jump into the lake and drink. That doesn't work. Now, the chitzonius of that phenomenon and the pneumius of that phenomenon. The chitzonius of that phenomenon is, I want to drink, and this is the only way I can get the water properly into my mouth, is this is how I drink. The pneumius of that is that while I'm drinking, I must not compromise my self-respect, who I am, and under whose auspices am I performing all that. I have to recognize that I'm drinking the water that was prepared, that was given to me by the Creator, and I have to acknowledge this phenomenon. I'm not into drinking per se. I'm into drinking in God's Word. That's a pneumius. So when you drink from a cup, the chitzonius is this is the most convenient way to drink. But you do not have in mind the chitzonius to maintain the the human dignity.
Okay, that's clear. And what about Chitzenius HaMachshava of Ak? Chitzenius HaMachshava of Ak is just, I have to have a world because ultimately I want to have Yidden in the world. Is that
That's
it?
right.
The world is the Chitzenius
That's right.
of the Machshava.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
However, we say that in the Chitzonius itself, there is also this recognition. Chitzonius is not totally blind to where it's coming from. That it is also totally dependent on the source of existence, of the Creator. And therefore there is a cognizant in only Brian of the presence of the Creator and recognition that they're dependent on Him. The Nevi'im recognize that they're dependent on Him. There's no second step. Since I'm dependent on Him, therefore I should do and live according to His precepts. No, that doesn't follow through. But the initial dependency is present in all the Nevi'im.
When we say the Nevi'im, what does it mean? The trees,
I'm sorry, say again. I'm sorry, Julian.
When we say that the Nevi'im have a bittul, what do we mean Nevi'im? What does it mean? Even the doimim have a recognition of Elokus?
I've never spoken to a doimim, so I don't know exactly what he knows. But I can say this. That the presence of a doimim, and the doimim means that it does not allude to any kind of a chayis. It's just a presence, a worldly presence per se. There's no ruchnis expounded from the doimim. But then there's still another dimension to this. The doimim also, even a rock, right? It can be more doimim than a rock. Can a rock exist without the space that's provided for it to be? Can it exist independently of everything else? It cannot. And it readily accepts this limit, that in order for me to be, I have to be provided with the ability to be. You go and you build yourself $1 million house. Then you say, okay, now where am I going to put this house?
That's funny.
What?
That's funny.
Where am I going to put it?
Detroit.
Where?
Detroit.
In Detroit. Okay. Yitzhak is sending us to Detroit. Anyway, there is ultimately a recognition of a fundamental presence, truth, that is not part of who I am. This is recognized in whole coin in everything that exists. This, you can say, oh, I'm a millionaire. I built this house. But the basic presence is not yours. You have to recognize that the basic presence is what's provided for by the Creator.
The fact that it's needed doesn't mean it's recognized.
It's a chitzonius It's recognized. So it's a chitzonius recognition, not a pneumis. Yisrael have a pneumis attitude. If this is what it is, and this is what I want to live with. The world does not, the chitzonius does not have that attitude. Since I'm going to take it and use it for my own business purpose. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess this goes back to the discussion of bittul. So, if my bittul is that I know that I have to be bubble because this is where my highest comes from, and otherwise I'm not going to have any highest. I guess my question, that's chitzonius of bittul. What kind of bittul is that?
No, that's what I'm saying. This beetle is not recognized by the Nivroim. The beetle is that if I want to put something down, I have to submit to the fact that I have to take place, I have to accept this place.
You said this earlier though about the bittul of the chitzonius of bittul. It's basically I'm submitting it because of necessity. Because if I don't have what I need to exist for myself. Whether it's the space or it's the highest. My question is, what kind of bittul is that? It's all self-referential. I need this because I want to be here.
True, but still, this is what's called a bittul chitzoni. Please, let's think about what you say. Bittul chitzoni means I still recognize that you're the boss.
Even though I need you because I want to be here.
That's right. But I still recognize that you're the boss.
Okay.
That's a bittul chitzoni. The point is that we have to understand here. This is what Rebbe concludes. That even though the bittul exists in all the Nivroim, but they don't recognize, they don't give cognizance to this. They don't give cognizance to this. It is true. If you think about it, a human being with his intellect, he thinks about it, but the Nivroim do not submit to that, do not give cognizance to that. They think they exist in their own skin, in their own they substantiate their own being. They're there because they are there. Why is there space on earth for me? Because I'm providing that space. It's my space. And if you're going to take my space, I'm going to kick you. Okay, let's continue. Jump over.
But it was said that the Nevrum have a bittul. The Chetzonis they give it.
Yes, but it is not an internal hergish. They're inadvertently bought, but not that they give cognizance. What?
Even the Chetzonis they give it is also not the B'chinas hergish.
That's right. That's what the last word. Ve'ein b'hem b'chinas hergish klal. Even the Chetzonis beetle is not a b'chinas hergish. They do not have a sense of beetle. I'm not self-made. Like I said, I claim I'm here because I have my personal right to be here. Nobody can challenge that. Okay, I think we went down low enough. Okay, next section. Another aspect, another means by which we can understand inyan, the principle of ha'or as between us ak, the ha'or. We already know what the mean ha'or is, the effect of the principle of ak. We said that the beginning of ak, the ha'or of ak in Israel, is unique, is different than it is in the entire world. It is b'pchinas pnimius, where Yisrael are recognizing the intent in this whole creation, and they submit to that intent, and they live according to it, according to its principles. Another union that order b'chinas can be understood by every Eid, that can be exposed in another way also. And this is Shehu Inyan Hagdomas Nase V'Nishma, which is expressed in the principle of Hagdomas, of preceding Nase, I shall do, and I say I shall do. Prior to saying Nishma, I will understand, I will know. This is unique in a Yid, that he has inherently this spirit, this reality, this connection, that even though he has intelligence and he is able to understand and to know what he is doing, but there is a cognizance in himself inherently, that his nase precedes his nishma. Now, nase means I shall do. Nishma means I will listen and I will understand. If you don't know, if you don't listen, if you don't know what to do, what are you going to do? Where does the nase come from? You don't know what to do. And therein is the secret of this Akdomas Nase V'Nishma. When one is given a task to do, and he's told, take this and bring it over there. Take this and bring it over there consists of several aspects. Taking this, carrying it, and bringing it over there. So all of these things that we are mentioning is, there is something that he's aware of what he's doing. He's picking up the subject, and he's carrying it, and he's carrying it to a destination where it belongs. What he is engaged in this activity, he's accomplishing a certain task, a certain purpose, of bringing this object to its proper destination where it belongs. Although he is merely carrying it, but he is carrying it with a certain intent. His mind and heart are also involved in what he is doing. Not like the horse that's carrying him, that is merely going there without any kind of justification in terms of what is it, what am I doing? There's no one I'm doing, I'm just doing. A human being has in from Ayidas, the nasa is preceding the nishma because the nasa already has a certain significance to me, even if I don't know what's behind it. Human activity, we simply are going into this first, human activity on any level has a human influence. The Rebbe says, Ha'ora b'chinas ak b'kol echad echad miYisrael is the union of Hagdomas Nasa v'Nishma, where Nasa precedes Nishma. Very quickly, the difference between Nasa Kodem and Nishma, or Nishma Kodem and Nasa, even though in both instances he's going to do, look at this chutzpah.
Chutzpahniak.
In any case, he's going to do what has to be done. The Hagdomas Nasa and Nishma is if I'm going to do something before I even know what I'm doing, what is the significance of this action? This action does not represent anything that I am personally involved in. I personally identify with it. I don't even want to do it. What does this action represent? This action represents the fact that there is a higher authority, a bigger presence that has significance, that identifies significance in this action, and I'm participating in this action. So therefore, I'm completely, my whole action is representing the entire authority. Not only that I'm obedient, I have no idea that I'm doing anything.
So you're saying the deed with no knowledge is already connected to the one who's commanding it.
That's right. Hagdomas Nasa v'Nishma. This is a profound dedication, because in other words, I'm doing it not because I understand at all. To me, this action is an insignificant action. Not only I don't know the purpose, it's not an action. Who identifies it as an action? He